landed in Calgary International Airport. So he has arrived in Canada to attend the G7 Summit 2025. The Prime Minister has just arrived in Canada after his visit to Cyprus. Remember, the Prime Minister was in Cyprus where he was given the highest honor in the nation. Now the focus shifts to G7. And my colleague Shinjoy Chaudhary joins us on the broadcast with the details. Shinjoy, good morning. A lot expected today. The Prime Minister has just arrived in Canada. The Iran-Israel tensions, the tensions in relations between India and Canada. There's a lot to look forward to on what could happen. Take us through what's on the agenda and the things to look out for in the Prime Minister's visit to Canada.
First of all, the G7 is a group of the 7 most powerful economically nations of the world: America, Britain, France, Italy, Japan, Canada, and so on, Germany. Now, while these are economic, the main agenda as for the G7 this time is going to be, number one, the 2 wars that are going on, the one between Russia and Ukraine and the one in West Asia, and how the economic problems these have caused can be sorted out. That's really the first thing. As far as India is concerned, it is also a bilateral. While India is not part of the G7, major countries have been invited, like India, like Brazil, and so on. And this is really to ensure that the world's economic order functions properly. Now, that, of course, is one aspect of it. Otherwise, Prime Minister Modi will have bilateral meetings. One with the host, Canada. Mark Carney is very important. This will help to reboot the relationship. There will also be bilaterals, definitely with the German Chancellor, and he's meeting Merz for the first time. Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, again, they're old friends, and this would be a productive meeting. Prime Minister and U.S. President Donald Trump will be at the same place at the same time. So while I know that discussions have been going on with both sides regarding a bilateral, it is yet to be announced. But there could well be one. So these meetings are going to be very important as well. So these 24 hours will be very essential, not just for the world, but also for India.
Okay, so the world's greatest economies coming together. For now, of course, India's economy is larger than some of the nations in the G7. But more importantly, apart from the economic challenges, the G7 has also been about more. The Prime Minister himself has also previously spoken about tackling terror. It comes at a significant time for India as well, at a time when India is galvanizing support on Operation Sindoor in its war against, in its escalating tensions with Pakistan. So, Srinjoy, this is going to be significant. At the moment, of course, the focus is going to be on the relations with Canada that had seen a dip with Justin Trudeau. But there's a clear indication that with Prime Minister Modi himself there in Canada and with the new Prime Minister, their focus is going to be on better relations. India and Canada once did have good relations. It turned sour during Justin Trudeau's time, during his tenure. So a lot of focus is also going to be on ensuring that the ties are renewed again and that the diplomatic ties continue to be strengthened. And that's something that the Prime Minister will be looking at.
Yes, undoubtedly. First of all, as far as the bilateral with Canada is concerned, yes, there is an opportunity. India sees an opportunity because, as you rightly said, Trudeau is no longer Prime Minister. And as a result, these problems that India is worried about, the increase in Khalistani terrorism emanating from Canada, all these things can be sorted out with Mark Carney. That is one. Besides that, he will have several other bilateral meetings. And here, the point about terrorism, from across the line of control, cross-border terrorism, which emanates from POK and Pakistan, will definitely be discussed, whether it's with the Germans, whether it's with the Italians, whether it's with any other country. That point will certainly come up, because Operation Sindoor has just been successfully concluded, and after that, that issue will certainly come up during the talks, and India will make its point. This will be during the bilateral meetings. But in the session per se, which will have an economic focus, India naturally will bring up the issues that relate to world economy. One, of course, supply of things. The other is FDI. All these issues, the fact that these wars has led to the rise in fuel prices, in fertilizer prices, in food prices, all of which has hurt the South countries. There are other countries which are outside the G7 that are going to be there. President Lula, for instance, of Brazil, will be present. So it's entirely possible that Brazil and India will also meet.
Okay, all right. Shinja, stay with us as we also speak about the significance of the G7 summit. It also comes at a time when the tensions between Israel and Iran are escalating. But looking at the visuals that we have on the screens, the Prime Minister arriving in Canada, and as has now become the tradition, the Indian diaspora was there to welcome the Prime Minister. Listen in.
I'm a professor of chemical engineering. I also represent University of Calgary at the Shastri Indo-Canadian Institute. I've done that for the last 9 years now. And so I have good interaction with people in India, and I make frequent trips to India as well.
Talking about the visit of Prime Minister Modi, your takeaways, what would be your expectation, if I may ask so, because he's coming after 10 years and he's coming...
First of all, I'm very, very happy that he is visiting Canada, and that our current Prime Minister had the courage, despite all the negative pressures on him, he had the courage to invite Modi ji. I mean, he has done a super job in India. I mean, look at India's position now, 10th, 4th largest economy in the world. So it would have been a grave mistake for Canada to not have invited India. So I'm very, very pleased. And hopefully this visit will only re-strengthen the strong relations we had between the two countries, which was soured in the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years, particularly in the last 2 years. But now I'm looking forward to rejuvenated relationship between the two great democracies in the world.
You touched about the sourness in the relationship. Do you expect the new regime will take action against these sourness, or maybe it will try to make it much more fruitful?
I think we need to have open dialogue at an equal footing, consider India and Canada to be at the same level. India is not of India 30 years ago. It's a much stronger.
So India being a part of the G7 summit, the Indian diaspora welcoming the Prime Minister as well. But Srinjoy, the focus is also going to be on the Iran-Israel conflict. So how is the G7 going to address this escalating conflict between Iran and Israel?
Well, America has to play a major role, because America has some say over Israel. A lot of the weapons that Israel is using is American. But we don't know how Donald Trump, the US president, is going to react to it, because the President Trump has different views at different times. For instance, when he was in the Gulf, he met MBS in Saudi Arabia, other leaders. The idea of meeting President Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, or even speaking with him didn't even come up. But now, initially then, when the attack on nuclear facilities happened, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, said that, look, America has nothing to do with it. Now we know when Iranian missiles are being aimed at Israel, American anti-missile systems, anti-aircraft systems are in operation. What does it mean? That means America is supplying weapons to Israel. America is actually actively supporting Israel in this war. So if that is so, then America does have a say, and perhaps America may have something important to say vis-a-vis this whole incident. Besides that, the European countries could also jointly play a major role. France, Germany, Britain, Italy, and so on.
Okay, all right. Shinjo, in fact, now details have also come in that President Trump could depart the G7 early as the conflict between Israel and Iran are showing signs of intensifying. What could this mean for the G7 summit? And President Trump, he was in Canada, but now details coming in or reports suggesting that he will be leaving early.
Well, first of all, it's important to see if President Trump does the press conference, because a press conference has been planned for President Trump. The question is he going to do it? If he does the press conference, then it will be clear what the American position is, at least for a short while. But if he skips the press conference and rushes back to Washington, it is a warning sign. It's also a sign that, yes, you're right, the fact that the war is intensifying, things are getting worse.
Okay, all right. So let's wait for an update on that, on the United States President Donald Trump leaving the G7 summit early. But Shinjo, as the meeting is also to take place, the Prime Minister will also be addressing the outreach. He will be addressing the G7 as well in a short while from now. That's expected. But what is going to be the key focus, the key priorities for India at the G7 summit? And details on how it plans to engage with the other member countries, any details of the bilaterals lined up for the day?
Yes, as far as the bilaterals are concerned, we are hearing that there are definitely going to be bilaterals with Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada. Now, this is going to be very important because this will help to reboot the relationship, which had deteriorated considerably in the Justin Trudeau era. So that's one. The second bilateral we are hearing is with the German Chancellor Merz, Friedrich Merz. Now, he's new, and this is the first time that Germany and India are meeting the German Chancellor. And this is very important because Germany is one of the powerhouse economies of the world. So at this point, a meeting, the first meeting between Merz and Modi will be particularly important. Modi had very good ties with Angela Merkel. In fact, he has had bilaterals with Merkel more than any other world leader, perhaps 14 or 15 times. But this is the first meeting with Merz, and the idea is to build on the relationship he had with Merkel and his successor. So that's the second one. The third one we know about is with Prime Minister Meloni of Italy. They are very good friends. They have met before. They get along together. But there is hope that this meeting will lead to some things more productive. Already the path has been worked out. The Vice Premier of Italy, Mr. Tajani, was here. So lots of things have been worked out. Now this meeting right at the top level will perhaps help things along.
Okay, all right, Shinjoy, do stay with us. We also have reactions coming in from members of the Indian diaspora. Let's listen in.
Yeah, my name is Nidhi Lodha. I am a Senate member at University of Calgary and a clinical researcher. So,
Prime Minister Modi is coming to Canada after 10 years. And what are the expectations and plus also the significance of this visit which is taking place according to you? What are your views regarding that?
so for this Indian diaspora in Calgary and in Alberta is so happy that Prime Minister Modi is visiting us. The only caveat to this is that this visit was done at the last minute, and it's a short visit that we could not organize a town hall or something where lots of people who are waiting to meet with him could meet with him. But for us, we think that this visit of his will start a new era in Canada-India relationship and partnership, which will grow because both of our countries we are democracies. We believe in same principle of unity in diversity and multiculturalism. So why are we fighting for? Why are our relationships not so good? So I think with change of government in Ottawa and change in stance in Ottawa, and then the current reality that Canada needs to diversify economically, I think that this relationship will improve. It will be a relationship of mutual respect and transparency.
Over 1 million members of the Indian diaspora in Canada, they have played a very significant role in the politics of Canada and, of course, the economy of Canada as well. And Shinjoy, they're looking at a lot of hope as the Prime Minister arrives in the country. Over the last few months, there has been a deterioration of the relations, as we have spoken about, after Canada accused India of having a role in Niger's killing, not providing any evidence whatsoever. So now there is renewed hope that there will be a thaw in the frozen relations now that the Prime Minister is in Canada.
Yes, first of all, to look at the Niger issue. When India was accused by Trudeau, India made it very clear that this charge was absurd. Now that is a very strong word when it's used diplomatically. And that, of course, led to the deterioration of the relationship between the two countries. India has no Canadian High Commissioner. India has appointed Dinesh Patnaik as the Canadian High Commissioner, but the Canadian government has not come back. The memo has not come back as yet to the Indian government. So there's further discussion on this. There's further bureaucratic work on this that has to happen. Secondly, Carney is an economic man. Carney has been governor of the Bank of England, so he understands the economy, and perhaps there can be progress on economic issues with Canada during this visit. Thirdly, thousands and thousands of Indians study there and also work there. There are thousands of Canadians of Indian origin. Now that issue is also important, and this has to be looked at. So these are three major issues that India and Canada will look at. Besides that, there will be other meetings, but India is looking at the economic situation in the world, which of course was affected very strongly by COVID, but has also been hurt by these two wars that are going on. Let's not forget that the two of the largest producers of wheat in the world are actually been fighting for 3 years. I'm referring to Ukraine and Russia. Now this means that the price of food grains has gone up in the world. It has affected India. It has affected South countries.
Yes.
The price of fuel is shooting up because of this war between Iran and Israel. Now that's going to affect India. It's going to affect South countries. So these things have to be worked out, and the effort that the Prime Minister will make will remain. We will have to see. He's already begun this process by saying.
All right, Chandra, just a moment, interrupting you there as we have breaking updates coming in. A confirmation that has come in that President Trump is leaving the G7 early. That's the update that has come in. The president was in Canada, and he has cited Middle Eastern tensions to say that he will be leaving. While he says, and he has confirmed that